Hey, welcome to Roots and Riches, the podcast where we celebrate the journeys of diverse entrepreneurs who are making waves in the world of business. I'm your host, Jose Aviles,
And I'm your co-host, Fee Gentry.
and each week we dive into inspiring stories of resilience, innovation, and cultural pride. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur or a seasoned business owner or just looking for some motivation, you come to the right place. So join us as we uncover the roots of success and the riches that come with perseverance and passion. So let's get started.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or wherever you are in the world watching today's episode of Roots and Riches. I am your co-host, Fee Gentry, and
Jose Aviles, how are you guys? How are you, Fee?
awesome. I'm doing great. How are you, Jose?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Good. Yeah, for not too bad for, the day we always talk about first world problems, the things that we always complain about, right?
Right. Oh, it's too
Like,
warm here. Nah,
yeah.
it's here.
Right, we have AC.
It's-
Right.
Oh, no,
We have
I
AC, we have lights.
have to go
we have
down to the
food.
beach. Oh, no.
Right, right, exactly, right. We got technology. People just complain for first world problems. So you get your coffee in to wake you up. Are you awake?
Yeah, I'm awake. I'm good. And just kind of getting my day going. And I've been kind of geeking out on the Olympics a little bit.
I know.
Just watching some of that. And it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been kind of a busy week.
Yeah, so
But it's been
we're gonna
good.
let's talk. So let's talk about the week. Like this week was another weird week in the world, right? I mean, of course, the politics. So we'll probably talk. We're not a political show, but you got to mention that craziness of the week. So the political season, the Olympics, and then football season. We'll talk about that too, right? Like that. And then we'll get down to business. Then we'll definitely get down to business and how it records.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
this
That's
week
right.
for me, it's just like I said, I got to go back and I was speaking to groups of business owners this week. So it really brought back home of like some of the things that we're doing that are having a positive impact. And so we'll actually be we'll probably talk about that next week. Is what I talked about is about future proofing your business. And so people really are nervous about the economy. We're all, I think people are just anxious about like what's going on with the future elections. And so I just kind of told him like to step back, breathe, and here are the five steps to future proof your business. So we'll talk about that next week. I'll teach you a little bit about that. But in the meantime, tell me about your week. What'd you do?
Oh, it's been a good week, and it's funny you mentioned that because I was talking to one of my clients that this tends to happen sometimes when she's a lot of things, something is just bound to drop and not get handled. So she gets really overwhelmed by looking at, oh, I have to do this and this and this and this. And it's funny because I don't obviously not a psychologist, but I've seen it and it's happened to me. And I kind of told her, so when that happens to me, this is what I do. And the reality is she goes into like, oh, I have to do this and have this promotion and have these sales, have to do with this. And then to me, it was like, okay, just step back. There's only one thing you can do at a time. And that's becomes more of a, okay, you can only control what you can control. You can't control the economy. But what is it that you can do? What is the buttons or the levers that you can pull to solve whatever situation you have? For instance, for her was just sales. So for me, we went into, okay, let's triage this and see, okay, you need more sales by this date. So let's, what can you do? Who can you reach out? What kind of product what kind of deal can you do? And like just focus on honing in on the individual things that affect the sale rather than going, oh my God, we have no sales. So just basically breaking those things down, stepping back and say, okay, you don't need to do this today because that's not going to get you a sale. When in reality, sometimes that's what we do. We go like, oh, I need to go do that. And I didn't deal with the thing that actually is going to bring the revenue in. And then you wasted the time and didn't get the revenue in. So now you have the same problem, but just a little later. So in that sense, it's one of those things like I have to remind myself. I told you this because it's what happens to me, but I have to remind myself that okay, every time we get like that and we're like with everything going on, just focus on the things that you can control and focus on the things that bring the impact to the business, right? So that's kind of where like one of the things in the week that I kind of like, oh, this is a kind of framing of things.
So what else is going on in the world like that we talked about? We said we were going to talk about the thing that you were doing this morning, like was watching Olympics. I stayed up until almost 1 o'clock in the morning watching the Olympics. So, man, it's been amazing.
It has been, and it's funny because I feel like for one reason or another, it's just the technology. When I sign up for a service that has the individual sports, because in the Olympics in the past, I watched prime time and I watched the big events like swimming, gymnastics, basketball, like some of the so those ones that are kind of obscure events that I would be interested in but never get to see.
Right.
Now I can just go to that event that's specific and watch replays and watch. So I've been watching Olympic judo and wrestling. So it's been like, yeah. So I've been watching those. I've been watching the Puerto Rican basketball team get beat up every time they go in the court. So that's been painful. But I ended up I was like, do I need to know the score before I watch the replay? I want to know who wins to see if I want to invest the time into watching it. But then I find myself, okay, I'll just watch a little bit of it and see, kind of fast forward through it to see how they're doing. So it's one of those things, like it's the first time that I've had the opportunity to watch some of those obscure and learn about those. We were watching fencing the other day and we're like, I've never watched any of them. And then my girls were like, oh, this is awesome.
Watch fencing. See, that's one of my favorites.
It's like sword fighting.
That
yeah,
it's like sword fighting, right? If I think there was some social media posts saying if you were to pick a sport to compete in Olympics, mine would be fencing. Like people thought I would pick basketball or volleyball, but no, I love fencing because it's so intellectual and I've got fast feet and fast hands, so I would love to do fencing. I love the technique I love fencing. That would probably be my Olympic sport. What would be your Olympic sport?
Mine? Oh, that's a good question, because I like basketball and I obviously like martial arts, although I'm terrified to compete at any level to a high level in martial arts, and I'm not good at basketball. So for me, I feel like
you have to pick one Olympic sport that you would go to the Olympics
probably,
for.
What I would try, it's like table tennis or something like that, like ping pong.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay, table tennis. Yeah.
Because I played tennis growing up and I played a little bit of ping pong. So I think it would be that. It's like, okay, it's not run as much. It's like right here, right? Although those although I've seen some of those mats, they're insane. So I don't have a chance.
They're insane.
That would be probably the one I would pick. Although archery was pretty cool. I'm not good at archery. I've never done it, but it looked like a pretty cool thing to get into too.
Yeah. Olympic would be mine, and then my sports that I just I love all things Olympic. So BMX racing, I stayed up watching BMX racing last night. The 3-on-3 basketball, I've loved. And then what I watched, which was crazy, that the U.S. got a gold medal in trampoline. I was like, how could this be a sport?
Really?
Right? There's some things I'm still struggling with breaking. I'm sorry, but break dancing came up through my community again. So there we go. Talk about roots and riches, right? The roots of breakdancing came through the streets, through the hood, that communities were doing that, and before gangs and all this stuff. And so all the cultures and communities in New York and then on the West Coast in California, where I grew up, were doing breakdancing. It's an Olympic sport now. I think that one's. I struggle with that one. What do you? Which Olympic sport do you struggle with, being called an Olympic sport?
Oh, I don't want to get in trouble here, but I don't know. I can't say anything that I was like, oh, that shouldn't be a sport, but
or an Olympic event. Do you struggle with? I struggle with golf too, because it's all pros, and they already have a league per se too. But breaking is it for me. Breaking, I'm done with that one. That.
I just don't know how you score breaking. That's kind of.
I watched the background. I watched the video, and it shows how it became it. So they have 4 different categories that they get judged on, and it's certain techniques. One's called a freeze. One's called this. It's all these different things, but it's still and they made it all technical, and then the artistic part of it. But mostly it's technical skills. Yeah. And
you know what event I have to watch. But I think it's kind of dumb. But I'm gonna get in trouble for this, so I don't want to get canceled either. But it's that speed walk.
Oh, yeah.
So you are running, you're jogging, It's like you're walking faster
Right,
than I
right,
can run.
right.
So don't call it speed just
You,
because you're shaking
right.
a little bit more.
You're
You're
basically
basically you're
right,
running.
right.
Who are we kidding? It's like
Yeah,
you're going
you're.
pretty fast. It's like you're like
That's yeah.
it's so that's kind
Yeah, that was
right.
kind
It's
of
kind of
funky, isn't it?
I
Like, yeah, that's
know,
kind of
but
funky that you could
yeah,
speed. Yeah. I
yeah.
know. So
So that's the only I would, but I have to watch. It's like I would always want to like try to put like a whole race with like salsa
yeah, like
behind it,
salsa
like
music.
merengue
We
music
should do
behind it.
that, right? We
Just
should do
like
that and put. We should do a
we should
segment.
totally
We should
do
do a
that,
segment
right?
on dude. That is an intro for speed walking.
And or like the
Yeah,
bachata
like
or something like that. Just like let it like.
like you're
That'd be
right.
pretty funny. I bet some of those. I bet some of those peeps can
I know,
keep
but
a
you
rhythm
get.
there.
But think about it. Like
Yeah.
your hips and knees have to hurt. Like who thought about walking fast? Like why don't you just run? Like I mean, either like those are people who are not committed to running.
I guess.
Like
I guess.
like
Yeah. I guess I could see like lower
yeah.
impact on the knees, but you're going for so long.
Yeah,
You're
still
going pretty
right.
fast.
I mean, those people who
Like
walk, they're walking like 3.5, 4 miles an hour. I mean, you know what I mean? They can do, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's it. That's the one.
I
Kind of
struggle,
wild
yeah, I
for
struggle.
me.
If somebody cancels you on that one, they like something's wrong with them because that's, yeah, like
It's
I
that.
said, breaking and walking. Yeah,
And I'm not saying it shouldn't be in the Olympics. I just think it's
yeah,
a little
yeah,
strange.
exactly. Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. So speaking of sports, like you and I agree upon this, football, American football. Of course, there's soccer. Like I love watching the soccer matches in the Olympics. But the same thing, they're pros. A lot of those
Yeah.
guys are pros. So I don't know, baseball. They took baseball out of the Olympics, didn't they? Yeah,
It did.
but they didn't take golf, tennis, and soccer out, and basketball,
Basketball.
which is interesting because they're
Yeah.
all our pros.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all the leagues are pros. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But they take out,
Yeah. And I don't know what how
Yeah.
that works because it's
Yeah.
a big sport, right? You would think it's a sport that one of the things, and this is it's a point, but there's a point here. But one of the things about the Dream Team in basketball in '92 did, like I remember, and I saw this stat the other day. I think it was like the Dream Team in '92 played like when they played in the Olympics. All the other teams combined, I think, had 6 or 7 NBA
Right,
players.
right.
And I think this
Yeah.
time around, it's like I think like 62
Right,
NBA players. So it's become a
Right.
sport that is just really opened up to
Correct.
the world in a way that maybe baseball and other sports haven't. Not that baseball isn't big elsewhere, but basketball is much bigger sport internationally, at least
From
our
United States perspective, because
from-
we have
from
soccer
looking
too.
from the
Yeah,
United
we have
States
soccer.
perspective.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Right.
than baseball.
But track
I
and
know,
field,
yeah.
too.
And
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that true. But I think the Olympics, for all the flaws that it has, I think it does a good job of expanding sports
Correct.
internationally and creating competition
Yeah.
internationally in a way that not being the Olympics like kind of like
right.
prevents.
That's true.
That's one of the things that I don't know why baseball would not be in the Olympics, being still an international sport and being and
Yeah, like
breakdancing.
yeah, they took breakdancing, and then so like the next Olympics they're gonna have pickleball. So then again, you're right. It'll probably be like a global phenomenon as a result. Like some person from
Right.
some little island, from some little country like Faritz, like some country I've never heard of. Well, they could now have somebody who possibly wants to play pickleball because they saw it. But yeah, that's interesting.
Right.
Very interesting.
Right. Yeah. So my point was there, like, I don't, why would you not have the ability to have like, international competition, expand the game if you can do it, right? In a place like the Olympics,
Right.
but
I don't know.
I don't know the answer though.
It's probably a
It
business. Might be a business decision too, right? Like everything that we look at through the lens of business could be that way. I don't know. So
Yeah.
but our favorite sports coming up. I'm a college football girl, but I know you love pro more so. Did you watch the Houston Texans last night play in their play the Bears?
Didn't I? No. So I, for some reason, don't pay attention to the preseason. I kind of like start tuning in when it starts, and the level of my tuning in depends on how the Broncos are doing, and they are either in the Super Bowl or
Right.
don't make the playoffs. So it's like they have that kind of like big swings from 2 years, like okay. So it's one of those things like, so let's see how they do because they had a big fallout with. Not that it was public fallout, but like the fact they paid Russell
I
Wilson so much,
know. I don't think they're going to get that
it
money
didn't work
back. Yeah,
out.
that's.
So
I mean, and I'm a.
that's
Yeah. I'm a true Russell. Yeah, that was expensive. I'm a true
yeah.
Russell Wilson fan, but
Yeah.
the Broncos messed that one up for sure. I'm a 49er
Yeah.
fan, so we're looking
So-
good. Like 49ers, I'm worried that we
Yeah.
have a few like the pieces, like these guys, because they have success. Some of these other players want more money, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, yes, we all had success, but they don't have an unlimited payroll, 49ers. Like, so these guys are wanting to, they're leaving. So I'm concerned about a little bit of that. And then I'm a Texans fan.
Yeah.
Love the Houston Texans. So I'm really excited about them. But I'm like you, I don't pay attention until the season starts, till the actual season, and like even part of the way through. Like I said, but more so college. Like I am a college, college sports fan for sure for college football. So I'm excited. University of Texas going to the SEC. We'll see. I think we'll do okay. I think we should be okay. Yeah.
One point that I was going to make on it was kind of like tying into Olympics was, I was like, the amount of money and revenue the Olympics makes, and how little to none makes it
Right.
for the athletes.
Yeah.
It's kind of a similar situation to like NCAA.
Right. Well, except that's changed. NCAA
It's-
now, NCAA
changed
pays
now,
pays their athletes, has been giving them stipends for like the last few years. Like my nephew plays college Division I football, and he gets
Yeah.
$1,700 a month.
Okay.
And that's enough. That's real money, and that's
Okay.
good enough for a young kid or something like that, right? And then the other kids get more, and then they have the NIL now, right? So why can't athletes? I mean, think about Flava Flav. And some of these guys, they're sponsoring Olympic team. I mean, like we would not have women's water polo as an Olympic team sport. And then what's his name? The judo guy. He's I think he's judo.
Yeah.
Like like his community was sponsoring him, and he's a
Just
gold.
sponsoring
I mean,
him.
it's not like it was his first Olympics; it's his second Olympic gold medal. He's a gold medalist, and the USOC is not sponsoring athletes, especially in the U.S. That's a disgrace in the U.S. Other countries, that's they're poor, whatever, but it's a disgrace for the U.S. to not invest in our Olympians. Yeah, can't have it both ways. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally, and I mean, I think like you just think about the magnitude of the games for 2 weeks, the amount of revenue and TV deals and attention, and it just has to be like billions and billions, and that I don't think anything makes it to the athletes.
Nothing makes it to the athletes. Yeah.
Wow to me.
Yeah, that's
anyhow. Yeah.
So that's a longer conversation that we can't solve, but I think that's like really again, the economics of sports, right? So that's something we talk about business. So yes, just because it looks, we know that lots of money was spent, but where did your dollars go to, right? And that's what happens in all kinds of businesses, right? It's like, does the money make it back to the people that it's supposed to impact the most? Are you paying, are you investing in your processes, your team, your people? Because your people is your, people are your number one asset, and people are also your, greatest expense. But it's like, how do you look at it? Do you look at it as an investment, or are you looking at it as an expense? And right now it looks like with our Olympic system, the United States Olympic Committee as well as the International Olympic Committee are looking at as the athletes as a product and not investing back in them. That's a shame.
Yeah. Well, that's the product, right? If you didn't have the athletes, if you didn't have games.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have the athletes, you don't have the games. Exactly. And we understood that in the United States. That's why college football, they start paying kids or giving them stipends for sports. Yeah.
That's why, like I said, like that's a conversation it's just probably so many layers to it and so nuanced but overall, I think that's something that needs to be
addressed.
At least
exposed. And guess who are the people most impacted? Are people who are, people who are diverse communities and cultures. If you look at what's happening with the Olympic Games, especially in the Summer Olympic Games, they're very diverse communities, and so I think that needs to be looked at as well on that level. That if it wasn't for us, in these Olympic Games, man, like I said, there would be no Olympic Games. Like, who are bringing home these gold medals in our gymnastics, our swimming, our basketball, rugby, all those sports would not be bringing home those gold medals. Yeah. So cool. Like I said, we can't fix that today. So let's talk about business. So what do you have? I heard that you have something to teach today to our audience.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit, and I'll do kind of a quick crash course because I know we're
Yeah, we're
over
halfway through
a
now.
long
Yep,
time.
yep.
But yeah, but the idea of for me, my background is in marketing and business is on the direct response marketing side. And when I say that to people, even in conversation, most people look at me like I have a third eye in my forehead, right? So they don't understand what that is, and the that is a different marketing style than branding. Although you can create branding as a byproduct of the direct response that you're doing. And so I wanted to do a crash course for people that have a business or are looking to start a business, or it's, to me, direct response marketing is the most cost effective way to market and advertise for different reasons. First of all, it's one of those things that branding gets you famous, and then direct response marketing gets you sales. And there's some intertwined, like, you can get sales because of branding, but it's easier to get sales than to get famous and to get, to get to the level. To me, the direct response marketing, the difference is when you're putting a marketing message out, you're asking for the reader or the viewer or the person on the other side to perform an action. And that action is either become a lead of your business, create, buy a product for your business, and those are the main categories. You either become a lead or buy a product. And the reason it's so powerful is because you can measure the effectiveness of each direct response campaign and direct response message that you put out. If you put a billboard on the side of the road, you can't really measure the effectiveness of that billboard, other than a lot of people driving by and they'll see you, may remember you, may take 17 times to see you to finally figure out, look up and see you. Direct response marketing is directly putting a message in front of people and asking them to do something. And then the part that we measure is that response. Okay, we send this message out to 100 people, and 10 people became leads, and we got 2 sales. So we know that 10% and then 2% are measuring sticks. So we know that if we can create that message for less money, the 2 sales, we are profiting. It's a profitable campaign, or at least breaking even, which is, it's kind of a concept that we kind of would have to go deep into the idea of why it's good sometimes to break even, right, when you're doing lead generation. But the idea is having, and I know I'm kind of getting a little bit into the weeds, but the idea is to have a message that asks for a response from the audience. Now, one of the books that does a fantastic job, and I have it open here to kind of my notes, it's the No BS Direct Marketing by Dan Kennedy.
Dude.
I don't know if you see that.
So
I don't love the
we don't get on us on the dude,
smart.
But the dude is smart. It's like, don't shoot the messenger, but the book,
So we can
block him out. Block him out. But the book is amazing. But
it's a good book because it frames businesses that are not typically direct response businesses, like attorneys and dentists and other services that are professional services or real, like retail stores and whatnot, into the direct response world. Whereas usually those professions and those type of businesses have relied on branding. So real quick, like 3 steps to direct response marketing. So there's 3 things. It is 3 M's that are in this book, and I'll do it real quick. First is the market. Figuring out who you are serving, who you are selling, who your business is best positioned to help. It's number 1. That's within your community, and that could be, gender, age range, profession, whatever the case may be. What is the best avatar, we call it, the best person you're positioned to help? The second one is the message. Now that you figure out who they are, then we can figure out what to say to them to make them take action. Again, we're asking for an action, so we have to make an offer or request something for them. So now that we know who they are, what is the one thing that person would respond to as it relates to our business, right? is it a free gutter cleaning so I can go check your roof out, right? So one of the things you're like, okay, I'm a roofer, and I know you're a homeowner, you're busy, so what if I come up and offer you a free gutter cleaning, and then in the meantime I'll inspect your roof, and then lo and behold, I found some places that I could improve and my business could help you, right? So that's an offer to, even though it's free, that person is becoming a lead of your business, and you're getting your feet on the roof, which is one of the things you want to do when you want to inspect the roof. So that's bringing in leads. So that's an example of now we know who they are, homeowners, with they're too busy, and then we can select the message that matches that with the offer. The third part of it is the medium, which is where are they? Where do they hang out? Are they on, can you find them through the Chamber of Commerce? Can you find them on a specific geographical area that you could do a mailing campaign? Are they on social media? Are they on Facebook? Are they Twitter? Are they, once you figure out who they are, then you can pinpoint, okay, I know these people from this area, this geographical area are ages 35 to 50. I could go to Facebook and say, hey, I want to show people in this area that are 35 to 50 that I'm putting this offer out to them. And then you can find them directly on those mediums that have the attention and have the, where people congregate. A lot of times, and this is something that I've seen, is Facebook groups to specific topics are great places to people that are, once you identify who they are, you can find them on Facebook, you can find them on Twitter, you can find them on forums online, and that gives you that you haven't spent a dime just to do this research. So that's the 1, 2, 3 points of that. I know there's a lot of things that I'm leaving out, obviously, so I'm doing it quickly, but I recommend you pick this book up, read it. It's also, the ebook is I think $3. It's also an audiobook you can get, but it gives you it's an old book. I've had it for over 10 years, but it's one of those books that has like kind of the basics, and if you're a business, you're like, okay, how can I get the biggest bang for my buck? I can create impact on my business without spending a lot of money on time. That's one of the books that I think the direct response marketing is the way to go, and that's a great point with that book. So that's kind of where.
That is awesome. Jose, do me a favor, because this was great. Take because you put in those 3 things of the marketing, the message, and the mechanism in the medium or mechanism. I call it mechanism. Take somebody from A to Z. If let's take, like you said, the roofing example. Like start from like point A to point B, so that they can all the way through, and just give them an example so they kind of go, oh, So yeah. So
even with
started the top of funnel all the way through, so somebody can understand how to use them, how to apply all 3 of those.
So for me, it would be, okay, I need to figure out a way to get people to get on, I'm a roofer, to get on the roof of people's houses to see if I can help them inspect the roof and give them a quote and whatnot. Usually you could, like a roofer will look at a roof from a distance and kind of have some idea of how old it is and whatnot. So you could say, okay, who am I best primed to serve? Okay, homeowners whose houses are X, let's say they're 20-year-old homes, and then you kind of see around, like you're able to like drive, you can see like a Google picture of it and see from the roof, just looking at roof, but it's a homeowner, 20-year-old house. You can go on a geographical zone. You can do, okay, this is the zip code that I serve. So once you have a zip code, and then you sort it by, okay, I have when the house was built, and I have like the different addresses. So now you can collect all the addresses and be like, okay, so I'm gonna do these people. They're likely that if I offer them a way, if I get on their roof, I'm gonna find places that I can improve and serve them. A few ways you could do that is, okay, go to your Chamber of Commerce locally, because you're doing a local business, and say like, okay, I want to put an ad on my local chapter, and the message is going to be, hey, if your roof is 20 years older or more, chances are you're going to be spending X amount on repairing it. Like, let me come and inspect it for free. Or the example that I gave, like, hey, you're too busy to clean your gutters. We're offering free gutter cleaning the next X number of weeks, or for the, you have to make an appointment and then we'll come out to your house, inspect, we'll do a gutter cleaning, and we do a complimentary roof inspection for you and make sure that, everything is done, because I know we're going into, and then you can take that geographic zone. You could do on the medium side, you could do mailing directly to the mailboxes of those addresses. You could do the Facebook ads directly to that geographical area, and segmenting for the age group that you are likely to be targeting, and Chamber of Commerce. So you have to figure out, because sometimes we do like, you do Google Ads or this and that. Those are fine, but until you find who you're serving, it's really hard to find a message that's compelling to them, and then to find where they are. So that's kind of an example of a local business that could do that. You could do it online as well, like there are forums that people kind of self-select and classify online based on hobbies and what they're interested in. So, but that's kind of a quick,
and for our audience purposes, it could be for those of you who speak a different language. So if you want to do it in Spanish or Mandarin or something like that, like you could target a certain like demographic and use that as a superpower, because people kind of go, hey, like it's a thing, and it's a thing to get your gutters cleaned, because people kind of go like, I never heard of getting gutters cleaned. I mean, but it's a way to target to specifically target our audience. And so, what's the action? The one action that you want people to take from hearing this?
So I would say, if you have a business, first of all, I think it's immensely valuable to figure out who your best target audience is and who your avatar. If all you do this week is figure out your ideal client or ideal customer or the person you can help the most, that's a big win, because from there everything stands from there. Like the who is more important than the what in a lot of ways, because the who will determine what, right? And say, okay, what do you need? It depends on like who they are. So the best way for your business to create a message that matches their need is to understand who they are. And then from there, you can extrapolate into, okay, how many of these wants or needs from this person are universal or are common throughout this community that I can serve with my widget or service, and then kind of make that match.
Perfect. So that's why I hear you saying, so the number one thing is, like we talked about on this show, yes, it's great to listen in on the podcast, but this is an actionable show. Like we want you to take action. And so if you took action, you found this lesson valuable, make sure you like, comment, and then also subscribe. We're also trying to grow our audience. So one of the best things that you could do for us is to help us grow our show is to push that like and subscribe button and share this information with others if you find it valuable. And then last but not least, this show is for you. Tell us any topics that are of interest to you, subjects that you want to learn about in business that you or maybe too shy or embarrassed to ask a question because you were in a big room or something like that, and we'll cover those topics for you. So with that being said, let's talk about next week's show. Next week is going to be an amazing show. We're going to go a little bit more into talk about, so he talked about, Jose talked about marketing this week. Next week, I'm going to talk about branding and in a way that you've never thought about it before. So make sure you stay tuned for next week. And until then, stay rooted, get rich. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Roots and Riches. We hope today's conversation has provided you with both motivational and practical tools to enhance your business journey. Remember, your roots are the foundation of your success, and with the right strategies, your potential for growth is limitless.
Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with your network. Follow us on social media and visit our website for resources, business tools, and updates.
And in the meantime, stay rich and get rooted.